Okay, let's talk about One Piece chapter 1062. Obviously, this video is gonna have spoilers, so if you have not read the chapter yet, read the chapter first, then you can come back if you want. Yeah. So let's talk about the big things, and we'll talk about Vegapunk. So in the chapter before, we meet Vegapunk, and I always say this is not Vegapunk, and I was right in a way, but and wrong in the other way. So what we see here is that Vegapunk have made 6 different versions of him. We don't know exactly if the original one is him, is a man or a woman, but I say him for now. So we notice that if you see the first chapter with Vegapunk, the chapter 1061, we see that Vegapunk have number 2. And when I see that, always I think, it's a bit strange. Why should a leading scientist have the number 2 on her if she was not the first or the second? So we notice now that original one we see in this chapter is the first, and in some way Vegapunk has split his body in some specific way to make different version, so different. Like one is called number 1 is logic, number 2 is evil, and I totally forget the other ones' names. And then we have Vegapunk Dharma, and that is, I think, number 0. So we go from number 0 to number 6. Yeah, and this I really like the chapter also when we see all of the big it's like the sea monster, and the sea monster have some kind of like cybernetics to them. My favorite of the sea monsters are the big like lion sea snake, and it's probably my favorite of them, and obviously the raccoon looks also very cool. And it's very cool when Nami says to Vegapunk 2, what is this kind of rescue? And obviously Vegapunk 2 will get very very angry like a teenage girl and say, yeah, what do you think? Do you think this is a rescue? This is not a rescue. Uh, and uh, and obviously sorry is sorrow, and he also look at Vagabond and he hold his sword and say, don't try anything dumb, because don't try anything funny. Yeah, I think so. That is, but also now when we see when they are in Vegapunk's laboratorium, and we see that Monkey Luffy see a big like a sea dragon, and he jump right through it. And the funny scene also is when he see a big like ice cream, and Chopper and Monkey Luffy try to jump into the ice cream and start to eat the ice cream. But they obviously the ice cream is a hologram. So obviously Monkey Luffy gets very 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 angry, because the only thing that can make Monkey Luffy, the only 2 things that can make Monkey Luffy angry, besides if somebody hurt his friends, is if he cannot eat lots of food. So he gets very angry, and then we come to a big like a Vegapunk giant, and and Monkey Luffy think this also is some kind of hologram, but obviously Monkey Luffy was do not know about hologram, and he think this kind of thing is called magic. And Jewelry Bonnie explained to Monkey Luffy that hologram is 3D dimensional lights. So make a picture or something that is not touchable. You can see the picture looks like it's like 3 dimensional, because you can see it all around. I like you see a human being. The only the difference here is when you a human being, you can touch. A hologram, you cannot touch. It's like your hand go through it. That is a hologram. So obviously, Monkey Luffy, Dory Bonnie explained to Vegapunk, to Monkey Luffy that this is just a illusion depiction, and obviously Monkey Luffy thinks that the giant is also a hologram, and obviously the hologram gets very the big Vegapunk the Vegapunk giant gets very angry and kick Monkey Luffy in the face, and so Monkey Luffy this is a real machine. It's not a hologram. Other thing that they explain that this Vegapunk giant have specific gloves that gives it a possibility to damage light. And that means that giant can attack holograms and attack them. And I think that is really, we see that ability. And then we come to, in the final chapter, we meet the CP Zeros, Rob Lucci, the guy that can turn to a big giraffe, and we see one of the Serapines, and this Serapine is a version of the big bear. One of the ex-member of the Seven Warlords of the Sea. So almost all of the, I think now it's almost confirmed that all of the Serapines are younger versions of the Seven Warlords of the Sea, and this version is Akuma. And before we see Boa Hancock and young version of Mihawk. So this is Akuma. And then in that moment they explain about Vegapunk, that all of this is Vegapunk's, but it's different version of him. So the original one is, I think, number 0, and the other one is number 6. So the thing that many people think was Vegapunk was not Vegapunk, because obviously Vegapunk is a scientist, and obviously scientists like to do different experiments and try to do upgrade it. There is a reason why over all the versions. So what this do not mean that Vegapunk will look like the other ones. This may be for example, maybe there's a reason why Vegapunk can live so long. Is because if one person attack one version of Vegapunk, that thing just get destroyed. But the other things, the other Vegapunk will still move on. And I think that is the plan. So the original one get all the informations from all of the other ones, that gives back the information. What the other one sees, they give back the information to him. The original one of as the Vegapunks. So we see a glimpse of the original one in this chapter. It looks like almost like the original one is more like a machine computer in a way, and like the original one, because of Nico Robin say that I think Vegapunk looks too young, and obviously Vegapunk then the number 2 explains in some way that this is Vegapunk 2, and now obviously we notice that this is not it's not Vegapunk, it's not the original Vegapunk that I suspect before. But it's a bit more bit more complicated because of is I was right in first. I was right in that way, but what I also say when I was wrong, because there is in some way the number two is Vegapunk in some way, but in other ways not Vegapunk. So it's I don't know how to say it, because I don't think it's not a clone, but it's something in number two and in number three and so on that have something from the original one, and that makes it in a way similar to the original one, but still not. Yeah. So in a way, it it's two-sided in that thing. Yeah, I think this chapter was really cool, really amazing. I really like this. I really like the chapter. It was really good. I think reason why the chapter 1061 was not as I don't like it that much as this chapter was maybe that my depiction of Vegapunk was maybe a different one, and so when I see this Vegapunk number two, I first think, oh, okay, now they're gonna do like Vegapunk look like that. Okay, I was a bit disappointed in that, but now I know that this is not the original one. So in some way, I'm more happy now, because for me, my depiction of Vegapunk, obviously, it is my own fault. Remember, because the creator have his own vision, and the person that I read my vision of Vegapunk was maybe like a classical old man scientist was my first depiction. So when I see this girl as a Vegapunk, I was like, I don't know, but I think it was my own fault. Yeah, but I think but now I think the chapter, I really like it. I really like it, and I really like how Oda, how he make really. He's a master. He's a master of creating new things, like a new world, like really like the laboratory, like with the fishes, the sea dragon, the holograms, and all of this kind of thing is really, really, really cool. So for me, like it's always a pleasure to read One Piece. It's always like a new adventure. It's always cool. Like it's really, really cool. And yeah, amazing chapter. And that is the final thing I will say.